As a consumer, you may not put much thought into how the food that you purchase at the supermarket, specifically meat, made its way from the farm to your plate. At first thought, you may imagine cows grazing in lush green pastures. But for the past several decades, factory farming has revolutionized the farming industry. Factory farming, also referred to as concentrated animal feed operations, or CAFOs, by the United States government, have helped stamp out hunger in developed countries. While factory farming has been beneficial to meeting the high demand of cheap meat to a growing population, the effects have been devastating on our health and the environment. Factory farming makes up 99% of all livestock farming in the United States. An average factory farm can house over 1,000 head of cattle or confine up to 10,000 pigs in a single pen. These animals often spend their entire lives in their pens, never feeling the warmth of the sun or taking a breath of fresh air. Due to the close quarters, a pig at a swine farm have had their tails cut off so they will not bite at one another. These pigs have barely enough room to turn around. Another factor to living in such close quarters is the spread of disease. To combat this, animals in factory farms are given regular, low doses of antibiotics. This practice is thought by some to promote drug-resistant bacteria, specifically methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, better known as MRSA. The article Healthy Growth of U.S. Farms in Scientific America states, "The drug-resistant bacteria that emerge have now entered our food supply. The study to investigate farm-bred MRSA in the U.S. recently found that 49% of pigs and 45% of pig handlers in the survey harbored the bacteria." While scientists, doctors, and vets recommend to the FDA that antibiotics should only be given to sick animals, the FDA has yet to propose legislation regulating the use of antibiotics in livestock. Furthermore, these farm animals are loaded up on growth hormones. These hormones help produce rapid growth in farm animals. The average pig on a swine farm is slaughtered at 5 months of age, thus allowing for higher turnover of livestock, creating higher profits and meeting public demand. The diet of animals in a factory farm consists primarily of corn, while in all actuality, animals such as cows are better served by a diet of grass. However, in order for farmers to yield large corn crops, they must douse their corn in pesticides and chemical fertilizers. In the Midwest, the rain runoff of these chemicals have made their way to the Mississippi River, flowing downstream to their final resting place, the Gulf of Mexico, creating a dead zone of 6,000 square miles. 400 similar dead zones can be found around the world. In the article America's Food Crisis and How to Fix It by Brian Walsh for Time magazine, Walsh states, "Even as we produce more high-fat, high-calorie foods, we destroy one of our leanest and healthiest sources of protein. Seemingly, Americans see fit to sacrifice the health benefits of fish for cheap meat." Another concern of factory farming is the waste created by these animals. 1,000 head of cattle can produce 280 tons of waste per week, while a pig can create 4 times the daily waste of a human being. This waste is liquefied and stored in open-air lagoons on the farm. The smell from the waste can travel for miles, while nearby neighbors must deal with leaking and overflowing lagoons. During the growing season, some of this waste is used as fertilizer for crops such as corn. However, this manure is loaded with pesticides, hormones, and antibiotics, which is ultimately absorbed into the crops. These crops are either used for feed or sold to markets for human consumption. Excess waste is often washed into local waterways, creating dead zones similar to that of the Gulf of Mexico. These waterways have little or no fish life and emit airborne toxins which have been known to cause disorientation in people who frequent the waterways. Some solutions to help reduce the effects caused by factory farming are recommending that the FDA pass legislation regulating factory farms. On a smaller scale, buying locally raised meat at the farmer's market or replacing meat in some of your meals with other sources of protein such as beans or soy should help slow the effects of modern farming. While the practice of factory farming has proved to be beneficial to providing affordable meat to a growing population, it has also caused a cycle of devastating consequences.